Hello there, and welcome to Dead Reflections Podcast, and may the 4th be with you, always. We are your hosts,
Caleb,
Kolby,
and I'm your boy Josh, aka Drifter Voyages, and this is episode 12. We are recording this on May the 4th, but this episode will drop on Monday morning of the 9th. Thank you so much for watching and listening. New episodes drop every Monday and Friday. Our goal here is to give someone at the table the chills, and if we're lucky, we might even send those spooks along to you. Before we get into the show, we have some FWF updates. Upcoming show dates: May 25th in Austin at Hole in the Wall, May 27th in Austin at the Fourth Tap Brewery, July 9th in Midland at Sound Deep Forever Fest, newly added date August 5th in Houston at the White Swan. There are a few more in the works, but we won't announce until dates are secure. We have a brand new Broken Tongue tee, only available at shows and with limited stock. Come talk to us about spooky stuff and enjoy some metal and pick up a shirt at the next show.
I'm wearing it.
On the topic of merch, what do y'all have on today, Kolby?
I'm wearing it.
I'm wearing it.
He's also Batman this episode. I didn't know if he told you about that.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I got Bull Colt. Our guy's Chris.
Oh yeah, dude!
Chris,
I've been meaning to get one of those.
It's a
I literally
dope
looked
shirt.
at it when I saw you earlier. I don't what
Yeah,
when I
been
looked at
long.
it earlier, I was like, oh, dude, I want to get that. And I know I said that the last time you wore it too.
Yeah, Chris from Ghost Key's band, his second band, Bull Colt.
And I am wearing a Bastion shirt that they did in memoriam of their bandmate, Britt Marty.
Marty Mata.
Yeah, but yeah,
I
that's
got
it.
Charlie Crockett on the hat.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, what hat am I wearing?
Paranormal investigator.
I am a paranormal investigator from Wicked Clothing.
Yeah.
You're not wearing a
Shout
hat.
out Wicked
Nah.
Clothing.
I don't know if I've worn a hat on the show yet.
Oh, well, Caleb is wearing his hair.
I put it on today.
He put it on today. You're like,
You don't
what?
wanna touch it.
So, anyways, what did we draw from our jar of stories? Stephen Alexander, the jar of stories.
So last episode we drew Exorcism. We have it sitting here on Elvira.
Oh, yeah,
She's
that's
holding
right.
it to remind us
Yeah.
because we have horrid memories.
Yes, that's very true.
So
Her and her
Elvira's
little
letting us
ducky.
know.
She had a little bug earlier, but
did.
we got rid of the bug.
Yeah. And then also, since today, with time constraints and stuff, we did draw ahead of time for the next episode. And the next episode will be, I think it's still in here, Mothman. Oh, wait. What a twist. It was on the bottom.
What a twist!
What a twist. We've got Mothman.
So Mothman will be our next episode, which we are recording right after
Put it in
this.
front of Elvira.
Yes, we were recording it right after this. Yes, you can set it on, and we'll light it on fire.
I don't think we
And,
can.
oh, damn it. Mothman.
There's Mothman.
I'm super excited
But
about
for the moment,
doing that.
oh, God.
Oh, God, it's all falling
We're
apart.
talking
It's all
about-
falling apart. It's all happening. It's happening.
It's happening.
This episode will be about exorcisms.
So, what?
For the most part, I think the way that we do this is that at least one of us will choose a story from the jar, but not everyone does. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules
I did
here.
exorcism. I did a real life exorcism, actually.
As did I.
Ooh.
So I think Kolby might be the odd one out.
Yep.
Okay.
What did you do
I'm kind of glad because the writing the story is so dark
Yeah.
and
So-
gruesome.
So do you want the good one now or you want the good one later?
Give me the good one later
All right.
because I feel like ours again are going to be heavy.
Yeah.
Like
Wait,
it's-
so are you doing 2 stories then?
I'm doing one story,
For this episode?
Yes.
And then okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
and my story is about bikes.
Oh God.
Bikes!
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Gotta control yourself. Don't let your
can't.
Tom out.
But no, my story is called King's Drift, and
That sounds intense already.
It sounds like the coolest
With
Netflix
bikes?
Need for Speed game to come
Yeah.
out in
Right.
2007.
Need for Speed, King's Drift,
Exactly.
2022.
it's just BMX but with
Yeah.
NOS.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Speaking of BMX, do you guys remember BMX XXX?
No. What is that?
It was
you
a
dating
game
yourself?
that came out in PlayStation. Yeah.
You're dating yourself.
It was a game that came out on PlayStation 2, and it was like raunchy BMX. Like there was like supposedly nude characters
What?
in there and shit. Yeah.
I did not. I've never heard about that.
BMX XXX. Get it?
I think the oldest one that was like a biking kind of game was MX Unleashed, probably.
Oh,
That's probably the oldest one.
The shit out of MX Unleashed.
No, I put many hour into that game.
I think everyone has.
Yeah. All right.
All right, y'all ready?
Dial us in for some spooks.
Yeah, let's go.
Talk about some bikes.
Ready for
bikes.
King's
That's my last one.
Drift. This is by Michael Whitehouse.
All right. Good name.
I forget
strong
where I
name.
found it, but it'll be in the show notes.
You found it in Michael Whitehouse. You pulled it out of him.
Okay.
All right.
Indeed.
Let's see. I wasn't expecting to do this one, but
Oh, okay, my bad.
no, it's all right. It's all right. It's
He's
all right.
like, "Fuck, you picked
It's
the
all right.
wrong
It's
one."
all right.
But the reason is because I know that the Exorcism ones, it's probably going to be like the most graphic one that
Yeah.
I've told on the story or on the podcast for sure. And
And then
I'd
mine,
like
I've got a surprise.
yeah, I'd like a little bit different, and then to get scared even more later.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time for King's Drift. Oh yeah, you gotta light the candle.
The ceremonial candle has been lit.
We're welcoming all the evil spirits to listen to King's Drift with us. Please touch Kolby.
It was an overcast and dull afternoon. I was 12 years old at the time, and despite the threat of rain, we took to the streets as my friends usually did on the weekends. The neighborhood always seemed safe, and looking back, it was a wonderful place to grow up, living in the vibrant shadow of the city center, only a 15-minute train journey away, while the parks and quiet streets of our suburb, on the outskirts of that urban madness, provided plenty of places to explore. That day it was two of my friends, Andy and Stuart, who had knocked at my door asking if I wanted to join them and head out for a while on our bikes. Both lived on the same street, and for that reason we had been as thick as thieves since we were toddlers. We took to the pavements at first in plain sight of our parents before turning a corner and showing off to one another on the roads, pulling wheelies and unimpressive bunny hops, as most kids that age often do. I say most kids, but I was pretty timid at the time, and while I loved hanging out with my friends, I never had the same sense of abandonment or recklessness which they thrived on. They would quite happily bomb down the highest, steepest hills without a care in the world, while I would stutter behind, scuffing my feet on the ground to slow my own descent. After buying some sweets, chocolate, and a pack of trading cards, complete with the cheap and brittle bubblegum from Jackie's shop, we intended to head to King's Drift, one of our favorite places to ride around on our bikes. But just as we exited the shop, Stuart noticed something from his class. Someone from his class. His name was Ricky, and he had moved to our school the year previous. We didn't know him all that well. We had hung out with him once or twice before. Stuart walked over and struck up a conversation with him for a few minutes before walking back over and picking up his bike. We turned to leave, but there was something that bothered me about that boy Ricky. He seemed lost somehow. Stuart said that he was waiting on his mom coming out of the shop, but I could see that look in his eyes, something which I'm sure I'd worn many times before myself. It simply said, "I want to hang out with you guys." We all got on our bikes, and just as we left, I shouted over to him, "Hey Ricky, do you know King's Drift?" "Yeah, I do," he replied. "We'll be up there for the next few hours. Why don't you get your bike and come meet us after you've helped your mom?" Ricky seemed pleased to be asked, and while he wasn't certain how long he would be, he did say that he'd try to meet up with us at some point. We said goodbye, carrying our provisions from the shop in stuffed pockets, and cycled off towards our destination. King's Drift was where we were heading, and I couldn't wait to be there. It was perfect. The street was long and straight. The road surface was uncommonly smooth, and it ended in a small cul-de-sac, which resulted in little traffic, if any, to speak of. We could ride up and down all day without being disturbed, except on the few occasions that one of the grown-ups who lived there would get tired of us hanging around or sneaking into their gardens playing tag or one-man hunt. For the most part, that long, secluded street was a fantastic place to get away from rules and complaining adults, even if it was only 10 minutes away from our homes. We weren't a gang or anything close to it, but that place was ours. And while many of other kids in the neighborhood hung around at parks or shops, we quite happily clung onto that perfect stretch of quiet tarmac that no one could take away from us. Tearing up and down the road, cycling as fast as we could, Andy enjoyed showing off, pedaling quickly while putting both hands behind his head as if relaxing on a sun lounger. Stuart was no slouch himself and would dart about off curbs and back on again, occasionally mimicking a character from an Australian soap opera that we often laughed at. The clouds knitted together tightly above, brooding menacingly. But this afternoon wasn't over yet. As we continued to play and enjoy our patch, we received an earful from one woman who just hated us sitting on her garden wall. Especially when my other friend Stuart pushed Andy over it into her garden as a joke. During her red-faced, ranting rage, we finally stumbled along the street with our bikes by our side, cursing the woman under our breaths. A loud crash bellowed from the clouds above, and the haze smell of ozone climbed up through the air. When I was a kid, thunderstorms always held a real fascination for me, and to this day they still do. But no matter how much I understood why it happens, when the sky opens up and a torrential downpour threatens to drown all around, it seems surreal to me, almost unearthly. The rain streamed down in thick sheets, and within a minute a thin layer of water began to flow along the street into the drains on either side. The complaining woman ran indoors quickly, her anger at us soon replaced by a desire to avoid being drenched. The noise of millions of raindrops smashing on the parked cars and concrete below became deafening, as we were instantly soaked to the bone. It was clear that the day was over, and while Andy seemed keen to stay and pull a variety of skidding stunts in the water, Stuart just laughed, challenging us both to race home. Off he sped at a rate I could never hope to equal, the water spraying out from under his wheels. Andy followed instantly, damn sure that he wouldn't be beaten. The crescendo of thumping water was now deafening, and as both my friends pulled away into the distance, I climbed aboard my bike and pedaled as fast as I could. With each panting breath, the rain fell harder until it streamed at such a rate down my face that I could barely see ahead. I shivered in the increasing cold, and as I continued on, I could no longer tell if my friends were far or near. I can't explain the feeling I had at that moment. Perhaps it's hindsight which has bound in my memory. But there in that horrid downpour, I felt isolated. Anyone with any sense would have run for cover and locked themselves away happily inside their houses. And at the speed my friends had darted away, I was sure they had left the street or at least reached its end. An intense feeling of fear drove me on, because for me, King's Drift may have appeared remote, isolated in the blinding rain, but it did not feel empty. In my panic, my wild pedaling shook the bike from side to side, and just as I lifted one hand from the handlebars to wipe the rain from my eyes, something walked out from between two parked cars right in front of me. I swerved, squeezed the brakes, and as the bike screeched to a halt, I was thrown over, tumbling on the ground, smashing my face and jaw on the road surface. The rain poured into my mouth, carrying with it the metallic taste of my own blood. I let out a cry as I reached up with my tongue to feel nothing but exposed gum and broken shards of teeth that were surely sprayed across the ground. My injuries left me confused and disorientated. But As I screamed for my friends, it became clear that no one would hear me over the immense roar of the rain. Then, the sky darkened, and the strange alarming sensation that I was not alone proved correct. Someone was standing over me. A combination of tears, blood, and rain stung my eyes, and though I couldn't make out his face, I could tell it was a man. He was broad and stocky, wearing denims and a brown coat, and while he wasn't exceptionally tall, his rain-battered frame gave the impression of immense strength. Despite the pain, despite the shock of losing teeth and cracking my head open, every fiber of my being told me to run, to get away, but I couldn't. With the first movement of my leg, the man pressed his foot down on top of my knee, with such force that bursts of excruciating pain shot up through my body. My screams of both agony and terror drowned out by the still falling torrential rain. Why was he doing this to me? A grown man. He leaned over and grabbed my bleeding head by the hair, yanking it forcefully upwards. No one can know the feeling of an adult exerting their full strength upon a child, unless you have been through it yourself. The fear, the utter helplessness, the feeling of resentment and betrayal at a person who should protect but instead harms. No matter how much I struggled, no matter how much I flailed, my puny 12-year-old body could never provide the amount of strength to free me from his foul, overpowering grip. But a bike thrown as hard as possible by two dear friends square at his face was more than enough
bro.
to make him stumble backwards, causing him to slip in the rain and batter his back and body against the solid street surface. As the man staggered to his feet once more, Andy and Stuart grabbed me by the arms and forced me to run faster than I ever had. We dared not look back for fear of our pursuer being close. We panted and heaved, and as the adrenaline surged through my veins, I forgot my injuries for a moment and fled as quickly as any child has ever had. As we reached the end of King's Drift, Andy and Stuart ran around the corner without looking back. But not me. For curiosity has always been my sin, and perhaps my punishment. The rain calmed at that moment, easing off to nothing but the most subtle as droplets. And as I squinted through the blood and tears, I saw at the end of the road the brutal figure of the man who attacked me, disappearing forever out of sight, with the bloodied, motionless body of poor Ricky over his shoulders.
Oh shit, dude! I got chills at the dude. Not Ricky, not my boy Rick.
R.I.P. Ricky.
Oh no, dude! That had me on the edge of my seat. That was straight out of Tokyo Drift, dude. I was like, yo. I was trying to think because you mentioned Ricky before, and I was like, was it Ricky that stepped out and he's gonna hit him, or Ricky ends up causing him to fall off? Like, because what I was picturing was like this, like maybe like a small mountain, like a big hill, you know. And I was thinking like he swerves and then he falls over the guardrail. That's what I thought you were first saying, but then, dude, that went a whole different direction. And shit, dude, and I did not like how they described like the man hurting him.
Oh yeah,
that was like my parent blood was boiling there for a second.
Did either of y'all bike a lot as kids? Yeah, like for other friends.
That's mainly why. Like,
no,
I
did not.
See, the thing is, I would ride my bike in a cul-de-sac.
Exactly.
Just like that.
So yeah, the beginning of that story when you're describing it, like just the feeling of just being out and like going on the road, like going 10 minutes away and you don't have to worry about stuff.
Right.
Oh, I can feel it.
Man, I wish that I would have been able to experience that because, you know, I watch things like Stranger Things.
You
and stuff.
skateboarded around town.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up. Like another thing that reminded me of that story reminded me of is in Brenham that we have the Devil's Backbone. And the reason why we call it that is because there was like 2 or 3 people that like broke like limbs going down. Like, I mean, it's like this, like almost a straight drop. I went down it and I have a huge scar on my knee from falling off my skateboard and like sliding on my knee down. Like it was, and then my buddy, he broke his leg or his arm going down it. He got too fast. The board went out from underneath him, and he snapped his arm.
Yeah.
Dude.
So I have 2 bicycling accidents. I think I've told Kolby before, and it just the way that the story was told reminded me. Like it was very relatable for me.
Yeah.
So if both of your stories are gonna get me, this next one's gonna be worse.
I think that story, linger effect is great.
Yeah, it's gonna be big
on that story.
And the vividness of the man, like how, grabbing his hair, like I could picture it all. Like, ugh, hate it. I want to hear your stories about the bikes.
Oh, about my biking accidents?
Yeah.
Oh, so the first almost everything I've did, like when I said I was biking with a group, was mainly with my cousin Will, and we had a house out in close to the Brazoria one.
Yeah.
If you go a little farther, there's a I can't actually remember the name of the town, but it's a little place where we had a beach house at the time. Our grandparents did.
Baytown or something.
It wasn't that far.
No.
Yeah, but it was close by to that house, maybe a 30-minute drive, something like that. So we would drive down, find a cul-de-sac or whatever, and eventually we just met like a random kid. I don't remember his name. We met a couple. There's probably maybe like 4 of us, 5 of us.
Some about kids and bikes, man.
I know,
you just
right?
make friends.
So one of them was just he was just a bad kid. He was just mean. And for whatever reason, I don't know if you know, but whenever you're on a bike and you're matching someone's speed, if you like hit their tire, you completely take them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
like,
just completely knock them out. So that's what he did to me, and I
that little shit.
I slid on the concrete. My entire left side of my face was scratched up. I had blood pouring and everything.
Oh, I
Yeah.
would have beat that
So,
kid's ass.
I was a little scared little
I would
child.
have
didn't know what was
thrown
going
my
on.
bike like they did in that story
Yeah.
at him.
So whenever you're talking about like the taste of blood and stuff,
Yeah.
I can picture it
Yeah.
so perfectly. There's another story out in that same area whenever we got caught out in the rain, like probably 20 minutes from the house, and we were on bike, and getting like we see the clouds and we're like, okay, we should probably start heading back, and then we're like only 2 minutes on the way back, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's pouring. Like you can't see, like you said, you're wiping
Yeah.
the stuff out of your face. You're trying to see like 3
It's like
feet in front
fog
of you.
at that point.
Yeah, it's very hard. And if you're going fast, it feels like little shards hitting you. You know?
Oh yeah, like
It's
little
cold,
it's like needles.
Yeah. So the other biking accident was when I broke my arm.
Ooh.
It was going down our
right
big hill here, and I had hit a rock or something like right at the little like the apex of that turn, like so at the very bottom. And I fell off. I broke my arm. I got road rash on my shoulder, on my hand's still scarred from. I have road rash on my hand.
Damn.
Scars from it on my face as well. And
Man, you
so,
don't know how to fall, do you?
No, I don't. That one I didn't even know I fell until after I was up, and I was like, arm twisted. I was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And I remember like dragging with
just
my
a
other
noodle.
hand. Yeah, I remember dragging my other with my other hand the bike, throwing it into the side, and one of my brothers was with me. I was like, go get my dad, or go get dad.
Yeah. So the the cul-de-sac that I used to ride my bike on, it was that development, like that neighborhood under the water tower in town.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
down there
yeah.
by-
Oh, really?
That's where my grandma used to live,
Okay.
and she lived in like the cul-de-sac part of the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And
The cul-de-sac and the cul-de-sac.
the round part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actual cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Is that
And,
what that's called? Is that why they call it that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was just a name for like a neighborhood. I don't know.
No, it's
Yeah,
the circle.
if it-
I want
like,
you to learn something new every
Yeah.
day.
And I think I was like on the main road, going back to her house, and like same situation.
Yeah.
I just hit a rock and tires slipped out, and
Yeah.
I fucking scratched all my hands. I actually caught myself though, so I just scratched my hands and my knees, and I sprained my wrist.
Damn.
That little scar on my pinky, I know viewers can't see it, but that little scar on my
Yeah.
pinky is from it. I had it
Oh,
all up and down my shoulder.
shit, dude.
The only other accident I had on a bike was over here as well, right in front of the gate this last time. I had gotten a brand new bike with front brakes, and I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
yeah, I was
Did
like,
you pull a
this is
stoppie?
dope. On accident. I did a full flip.
Oh,
And I didn't get hurt.
God damn, you got some grip, bro.
Yeah,
You
well,
fucking
no, I'm
locked your
going
wheels
because
up.
I didn't know because we're going down this hill, and by the time you're
Oh,
hitting
yeah,
it on
yeah.
bike, you're probably going close to like 25 miles.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
going fast, so you just tap it, and I went, and I flipped forward, and I think I like
Inertia.
landed on my butt or something. I was like, don't do that again.
Yeah.
not
So
bad.
just to make you feel better about falling and breaking your wrists, whenever I was learning how to ride a bike without training wheels, I first time going without them on the road, and I hit a rock, like this big ass fuck. The rock was like about the size of the planchette, and I hit that rock, going, and I couldn't comprehend. I didn't want to fall, so the rock made me turn to the left, and so I'm like, shit, and I didn't know how to stop, and I hit a mailbox, fucking smacked it, and the mailbox started to fall over, so I grabbed the mailbox, and then I was like, like 5 or 6 or something. I grabbed the mailbox, and little old skinny ass Josh is like, he's not weighs enough to hold that up, and I just fall with it, and it lands directly like on my and broke my wrist.
A last little biking question before we get into the next story. Do you remember the first time you went without the steering wheel or the training wheels?
No.
Yeah, that was the first time.
That was the first time.
Yeah.
I remember.
Maybe that's why I never rode bikes with my friends, because
I legit biked from like 4 years old on, and I don't.
You just don't remember the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember all of my skateboarding stuff.
I only have like one memory from when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And that was in the hospital.
You know the movies. You know the movies.
Not for biking.
The movies in Brenham. You know
Yes,
the movie.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you know that big old loop thing.
Yeah.
I did a right manual all the way down that.
You're gonna have to explain to me what
A
that is.
right manual is where you get 2 boards, one on each foot, and you manual like that. Like,
oh God, that sounds not good.
Like a nose and a tail manual. Like I did
sounds
that
terrible.
all the way down that thing.
My first time I can remember being let go by your parent that's holding you was you know how you grab the underside of the bike seat
and then you just kind of
just let go,
and then they don't know.
Our house in West Point, we had it was a rock paved road, and it went into a big sweeping turn, but if you were to go straight, it's just a big hill that probably goes down like 10 feet, but it's a gentle slope. It's not a drop off.
I can already picture what you're gonna say.
It gently slopes, and he was holding me for maybe 2 feet, and then he let go, and I was like, are we good now? I looked over my shoulder, and he's like 15 feet behind me, and I was like, oh. And then I just kept going, and I ended up at the bottom of that little thing. I didn't get hurt from it.
Oh, I could just imagine you like catching some air, and then you hit that dip, and wow.
It was very gentle. It was the road, a little ledge, and it just sloped off. Yeah, no. But I still ended up all the way
Now that I think about it, I don't think my parents taught me.
Oh, really?
Like, I think they just took the
figured
training
it out.
wheels off when they
that's what
thought
they
it
did,
was.
yeah.
I mean, that's how
that's
you
the
learn how
only
to
thing I
drive
remember.
standard. You fucking drive out into the middle of nowhere, and you say,
Stall
get
for
back
a couple
home.
times,
Yeah.
I still struggle driving standard.
That's how I learned. But all right.
I'm glad that story brought back a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I
there's
like
a good amount
that.
to
That was a good
unpack
story
there.
just in general, and the suspense was pretty intense. So I have a question. I was supposed to pass the bone to you, wasn't I?
No,
last stream?
it went from me to you.
Okay.
last time.
I was just making sure. So you're next.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay, so just
Caleb
to
was
recap,
typing like a madman. Just like,
This is,
be quiet, and then he would.
I didn't yell at you. It'll be fairly long, but I'll move through it as seamlessly as I
dude,
can.
you read it however you need to read it. I'm excited.
Okay, and you'll know whenever I set the title, so you can do the nice little intro. But I'm going to start it off with a little bit of a preface. Have y'all seen The Conjuring 3?
Yes.
Which one was that about?
That was the one about oh no, I'm going to forget his name. The Devil Made Me Do It.
Okay, yeah. That was one. It started out with the
That's 3.
spoiler alert. If you haven't seen
Yes.
it started out with the dude in the gas
I thought there
station.
was more than that.
No.
The dude in the gas station, and then he ends up killing his girl and his.
Wait, so there's only 3?
There's only 3, but there's other ones like The Nun and
Oh,
you know.
yes.
Oh, that's
just not
right.
The
That was the
Conjuring.
one with the
Gotcha,
cliff
gotcha.
too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we saw. I think
we saw that in theaters. I know.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I fell asleep during that movie.
Oh, how tragic. Okay, well, anyways, the exorcism we're going to cover today. You know,
I hope the demons in this story come for you.
Oh,
there's a lot to choose from. Okay. The exorcism we're going to cover today was mentioned in that movie when Lorraine Warren talked about how a possession case in England was used in the court of law for claiming not guilty by reason of insanity.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they briefly mentioned it, and this is that case.
Yeah. All right.
So this is the demonic possession of Michael Taylor. 1974, Ossett, Yorkshire, England.
Oh, you said Austin. I was like, whoa.
Ossett is O-S-S-E-T.
Oh, okay.
A fairly small town for the time. The population around 17,000 in the mid-70s would soon have their world rocked. No one was prepared for the gruesome and sinister news that would break in such a short amount of time regarding one man, Michael Taylor. A seemingly normal man, family man, and a pillar of his community would soon become the forefront of media all over England. 30-year-old Michael Taylor, father of 5, husband of Christine Taylor, had an ordinary life. working as a butcher, and comfortably middle class. Behind closed doors, Michael would suffer with bouts of depressive episodes, possibly stemming from a back injury he sustained earlier in his life, which would lead to difficulty sustaining a long-term job and employment. And in the middle of a recession, that would lead to financial stress, and everything soon followed after all this stuff happened. A friend of the family knew that the Taylor family had struggles, and knew that they were not devout. They didn't go to church or anything like that. They had suggested that they go visit a local Christian fellowship group. The fellowship would be a much welcome change from all previous visits to normal congregations he had been a part of in the past. Rather energetic and exciting, this one was. The group focused more on supernatural sections of the Bible, faith healing. They sang upbeat Christian music, and overall, it interested Taylor. The leader of the group, soft-spoken, attractive 22-year-old Marie Robinson. Michael would grow fond of this group and attend sessions more and more often, eventually spending a ridiculous amount of time in this prayer group, in the meetings, any kind of function, anything to be with that group. As he did so, it became fairly obvious that he was truly believing the ways that Marie was teaching. Marie would be known for shaking and trembling as the Holy Ghost took over, and even in some meetings where group members were exorcised and demons were cast out by, quote, the power of God.
Oh, she's getting drunk with the Holy Ghost.
That's what it seemed like. Marie noticed how keen Michael became to her and how quickly it had happened. She soon began offering private meetings. During these meetings, they would speak to each other in tongues, which was a common thing for this group. Sometimes sit across from each other for hours on end as they would try to nullify the moon of its evil powers.
The moon?
That's what they would talk about. Is
Okay.
they would try to get the moon to stop being evil, and they would do this. I think the longest recorded one was for about 8 hours.
I'm gonna go nullify the moon.
That's
after this.
dedication right there.
As these two grew closer, Michael would go from a caring family man to one that would be easily irritated with his wife and children. This change was drastic and fast, happening within weeks of Michael joining this new fellowship. Christina, his wife, well aware of how many hours he was spending with this young preacher, and how it might not be so pious.
Mm-hmm.
She would soon confront Michael of having an affair with Maria. Michael would argue his case and disregard his wife. Becoming more uncharacteristic and distraught, he would further drive his wife away, Christine, to her breaking point. Eventually, Christine would publicly accuse both of them of having an affair at the next meeting in front of the entire Christian Fellowship Church.
Damn.
Called him out, dude.
Michael, more chaotic and unhinged as ever, began a violent outburst in front of everyone, verbally abusing his wife and Marie, the accused, eventually escalating to physical violence.
Oh, shit.
He began to attack Marie until other members of the congregation pulled him off of her. So he didn't attack his own wife for confronting her. He started attacking Marie for
Some
no
twisted
reason.
way of showing,
Yes.
maybe.
Marie would have to say this about Michael and the moment that she was accused in front of everyone. I suddenly glanced at Mike, and his whole features changed. He looked almost bestial. He kept looking at me, and there was a really wild look in his eyes. I started screaming at him out of fear. I started speaking in tongues. Michael also screamed at me in tongues. I was on the verge of death, and I seemed to come to my senses. I knew that only the name of Jesus would save me, and I started saying over and over again, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. When Christine heard me calling on the name of Jesus, she started saying it too, and I firmly believe that I was only calling his name, that it didn't kill us. It being Michael, whatever took him over. Michael would say he had no recollection of this moment after, and would not receive only an apology from Marie, but a full absolution from the church that they were part of.
Jesus. Like, this man, punched her.
Yes. Attacked.
and then she apologized.
She apologized to him, and she, as the preacher, absolved him of everything.
What?
Even though that all this was done, it didn't stop the talk of the townspeople.
Yeah, people like to gossip.
Yes. It didn't stop all the other transgressions that he had had leading up to this moment getting out. So much talk around Michael and his recent outbursts led to a local vicar hearing this case and almost immediately began calling for an exorcism to be performed, and that Michael Taylor was possessed by some sort of demon. Now is when we move on to the actual exorcism. So this guy, the vicar, is questionable because he immediately saw all these things happening, and he's like, he's possessed. Let's do it. Like, let's get him. We need to do it.
No medical tests.
Nothing.
No call on the bishop.
He called up his friends or the people in the church, and he was like, we need to get it done.
Yeah. He was one of those rogue preachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we hit October 5th, midnight. Father Peter Vincent and Reverend Raymond Smith were asked to perform the exorcism of Michael Taylor, accompanied by the rest of the fellowship. Things would move quickly from here on out. Father Peter, Reverend Raymond, would meet Michael at St. Thomas Church in Gawber, Gawber, another town maybe 30 minutes away. The next 8 hours, endured by all in attendance, said to be chaotic, unnerving, and sickening. Michael would thrash, convulse, beat and bruise his own body, as well as spit, scream, bite, and scratch, and had to be tied down to the floor of the church.
Oof.
All in order to prevent him from harming himself and the two priests doing the exorcism.
This happened in the church?
In the church.
Oof.
After being drenched completely in holy water, like buckets of holy water, while still convulsing, screaming, crucifixes would be placed around him, upon his body, and one even forced into his mouth during the ritual.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
This would continue all the way through up until the next morning.
This needs to be made into a movie.
It's possible that it could be one of the Conjurings, like a
future
offset
one.
Yeah, not a Conjuring, but like in the world of it.
Nice.
So again, that went for 8 hours all the way up until October 6th, the next day, 8 a.m. Priests, sleep deprived, weak, had just completed this rite, nearly. They would say 40 demons would be cast from inhibiting Michael, soul and body. A few of these demons included incest, bestiality, heresy, lewdness, carnal knowledge, blasphemy, and a lot more.
Oh, the demons that represented those things.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
I was like,
they
wait,
didn't
they're
put 'em in
named
name.
blasphemy? Like, I was so confused for a second. Okay,
Yeah, the way that they worded it.
Yeah.
I couldn't find actual names. I don't think they would put them out there anyways.
No, because if you recite it,
Exactly.
then it's welcomed in.
According to the priest, these demons had to be pried from Michael's body as if they were trying with all their might to stay within him. The priest would pause their work for the day, claiming to be almost done, that only 3 demons remained, ones that represented anger, murder, insanity. October 6th, 9:45, only about an hour and 45 minutes from when they left. Police patrolling the area would get a troubling call. And I'll start here with a little bit of a warning. It does get a little gory.
Let's go.
A man staggering through the streets, naked and covered in blood, screaming, "It's the blood of Satan." Michael Taylor had murdered his wife and pet dog in the house that they lived.
Damn.
The children were away at a relative's at this time.
Thank God.
And he did have 5 kids.
Shit.
They didn't have television. No, I'm just kidding.
A few of the accounts that follow this crime, a few of the crime scene details are as follows. Christina's cause of death, unknown.
Unknown?
Either strangulation, blood loss, shock, or drowning in her own blood.
Ugh.
Her face torn from her skull,
Like ripped off?
eyes gouged out, tongue removed, and multiple accounts of blood literally painting the ceiling, walls, and floor. Somewhere amidst the blood, they had the small family poodle, which was strangled,
Not the poodle.
limbs pulled from its body, its hair, teeth, and eyes all removed from the skull. As police officers searched the home for the murder weapon, they would soon realize that there were no cuts, no gashes, no bashing. Later confirmed by the medical examiner, everything had been done by Michael's bare hands.
Fucking shit.
Michael Taylor would tell the police in custody, quote, "They primed me for it. They tried to bring me peace of mind, but instead filled me with the devil." He would once again say he had no memory of doing this, that he was controlled by something demonic and could not do anything about it. Quote, "I felt compelled to kill everything living in that house." When authorities asked him how he felt in that later moment, quote, "Released, I am released. It is done. The evil in her has been destroyed."
It is done.
So somewhere in there, whether he was faking it or he truly believed that she was possessed, he killed her to release the demon, but he said that he didn't have recollection. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a hole in the plot.
Now this is where it gets even more wilder, because you would expect there to be some solace in the trial.
Yeah.
1975, a year later, Michael Taylor would claim insanity by possession. His defendant is quoted as saying, "Let those who are truly responsible for this killing stand up. We submit that Taylor is mere cipher. The real guilt lies elsewhere. Religion is the key." Taylor was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
That man got
Christine's
away with it.
death recorded as misadventure rather than murder.
Misadventure? What
Taylor
the
would
fuck?
stay in a psych ward for the following 4 years before being released back to the public.
That man is out now?
It's possible. He was about 30 when this happened.
What year was this?
1975.
Oh no, he like 90. He ain't ripping nobody's face off now.
Not anymore.
You never know.
That's our story of Michael Taylor.
That was fucking crazy. Like, okay, so this will get brought up in my story too. When it comes to possession, one of the things that's always noticed is the amount of just brute strength that these people have.
Yeah, that's kind of
Just
why they
think
thought that you
about-
could just think about what it takes to. This is going to get very detail oriented. Is how do you rip a face off?
Yeah.
Or gouge, eyeballs out, or rip
Yeah.
a tongue out, or pull limbs from a body. Yeah, it's insane.
And that's another thing. He must have done that while she was still alive, because isn't it like,
Probably a lot
I
of
feel like
teeth
I saw
involved.
this in like
Yeah,
a
no, like teeth marks.
Like,
They said his hands were like his fingers were broken and stuff.
like
it
I'm
was
not
all
a
done by hand.
I'm not a forensic scientist or by any
Nice.
means, but I feel like I saw this in a show that had to do with forensic science.
Sure.
That blood splatter happens majority of the time, especially with like wounds like that. They have to still be alive because the heart has to pump that blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did that while she was alive.
Yeah. In the way that they described the blood painting the walls was like painting. Like he might have been smearing it everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Like he was literally like getting up on a ladder to paint the
like,
ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like to make sure
Like,
everything was covered.
Using her body as the
paintbrush.
bucket.
Jesus Christ. Let me use your body as a paintbrush.
But see, like, because whenever you say he just used his hands, that's a little hard to wrap around.
Yeah.
Because, like, normally you would have to use your teeth.
Yeah. It
I'm
said
just saying.
hands. That was the main thing is it
Yeah.
said hands. They didn't find gashes, cuts, scratches.
So
Crazy.
and so teeth,
Yeah.
there would be like bite marks
You
that
would
go
see, yeah.
into
Yeah.
the
Some
meat.
kind of
Because, like,
laceration.
you can bite your finger off.
Yeah.
Your brain just won't
It's the
let
same
you.
as biting a carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A snap.
Yeah. So that one was a
Ow, that hurt.
bite down and hurt yourself. That one was interesting for me. That one,
Yeah.
That was.
it wasn't
I
like
think
some of the other
all
ones.
of
that I
these
heard.
stories are going to have linger effects.
Yeah, probably.
Mine is like a well-known story that I'd never heard of that. At least
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that it was in the
Yeah.
third movie.
Yeah,
Maybe
well, it's
maybe
briefly
that was the
mentioned.
part I
It-
slept on.
It's a little moment.
It's because the whole thing about him being tried
Was because
because
this
of
was
possession
possible.
was because of that had happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
If that wouldn't have happened, then that story probably would have just ended in
So
straight,
when what time period was this?
70s. 1974 is when the murders happened. 75 was the trial.
Interconnecting stories.
Oh, you're in
'Cause
the
mine's
70s?
in the 70s too.
Yeah,
And then the setting for The Conjuring 3 was like in the
I think it was 80s.
80s, like late
Yes,
80s.
I'm not positive.
So that happened prior, and that's why they thought that they could help
Yes.
this guy because
Just like any other like court
They
ruling.
used it as a defense.
yeah.
The-
Yeah.
like-
Yeah, they brought it up and were like,
Yeah.
"This guy got it. Like
Yeah.
this guy has suffering from the same shit." Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and if you do your own like research into it, I left out a lot for story purposes. You can make up your own mind whether you're not like if you believe this dude,
Right.
because he again like there's holes in his story that the vicar that was like, hey, we need to try him, like we need to put him on an exorcism table right now. The whole thing with that is that guy was brought back up because the defense was saying he shouldn't have been exorcised because he was already in a bad mental state. Why did you do that to him?
Yeah,
Why
they planted the seed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To somebody that's weak-minded.
It's just like the sleeper cell syndrome. Like you
exactly
say a trigger word, and then all of a sudden they become a fucking killing machine. Like same shit.
So that one,
and that's a real thing. So like I could see that.
Yeah. So that's the linger effect for me.
It could have been like a government official just posing as a bishop and was like, "We want to see if this works." No, I'm just kidding. Cut that. We don't know. I didn't say what government. Okay. Anyways, so my story is also on an exorcism, a very well-known exorcism. This exorcism actually is a true story and is the basis for the exorcism of Emily Rose. That's not the title though, but hey, that was a good one. Mine is called The Exorcism of Anneliese Michel. I thought you were about to hit it again. Anneliese.
There you go.
Anneliese Elizabeth Michel grew up devoutly Catholic in Bavaria, West Germany. So same time frame, but on the other side of the world from your story. Mm-hmm. In the 1960s, where during a lot of her young life, she attended Mass twice a week. When Anneliese was 16, she suddenly blacked out during school and began walking around dazed and lethargic. Though Anneliese did not remember the event, her friends and family said she was in a trance-like state. A year later, Anneliese Michel experienced a similar occurrence. Blacking out, she woke up in a trance and wet her bed.
Nice.
Her body also went through a series of convulsions, causing her body to shake uncontrollably. She stated that this time it felt like somebody was putting weight on her chest, almost like she was being held down. Another pinpoint that I didn't write down is that showed that she was coherent when this was happening, this time. After the second time, Anneliese visited a neurologist who diagnosed her with temporal lobe epilepsy, a disorder that causes seizures, loss of memory, and experiencing visual and auditory hallucinations. After her diagnosis, Anneliese began taking medication for her epilepsy and enrolled in the University of Würzburg in 1973. She is now a young woman in college. However, the drugs she was given failed to help her, and as the year progressed, her condition began to deteriorate. Though she was still taking her medication, Anneliese began to believe that she was possessed by a demon and that she needed to find a solution outside of medicine. She began to see the face of the devil wherever she went and said she heard demons whispering in her ears. Those demons' whispers were telling her that she was and would rot in hell while she was praying. So she concluded that the devil must be possessing her. Anneliese sought out priests to help her with her demonic possession, but all the clergy she approached rejected her requests, saying that she should seek medical help and that they need the permission of the bishop anyway, to essentially do the exorcism. At this point, Anneliese, quote-unquote, delusions had become extreme. Believing she was possessed, she ripped the clothes off her body, compulsively performed up to 400 squats a day, crawled under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days straight. She also ate spiders and coal, bit the head off of a dead bird, and licked her own urine up off the floor. It was stated that she possessed strength almost superhuman-like. Her mother also recalled seeing her eyes turn black and her fingers become sharp and rigid as she stared at a Virgin Mary statue one day with the most malice-like stare imaginable. Finally, she and her mother found a priest, Ernest Alt, who believed in her possession. He stated that she did not look like an epileptic in later court documents. Anneliese wrote to Alt, "I am nothing. Everything about me is vanity, and what should I do? I have to improve. You pray for me." And also once told him, "I want to suffer for other people, but this is cruel." Alt petitioned the local bishop Joseph Stangl, who eventually approved the request and granted a local priest, Arnold Renz, permission to perform an exorcism, but ordered that it be carried out in total secret. He was like, "Don't tell nobody. You can do it, but don't tell nobody." Exorcisms have existed in various cultures and religions for a millennia, but the practice became popular in the Catholic Church in the 1500s with priests who would use the Latin phrase Vade retro Santana, go back, Satan, to expel demons from their mortal hosts.
Get on out, ya.
Get on, ya! The practice of Catholic exorcisms was codified in the Ritual Romanum, a book of Christian practices assembled in the 16th century. By the 1960s, exorcisms were very rare among Catholics, but a rise in movies and books like The Exorcist in the early 1970s caused a renewed interest in the practice. Over the next 10 months, following the bishop's approval of Anneliese's exorcism, Alton Renz conducted over 60 exorcisms, lasting up to 4 hours on the young woman. Through these sessions, Anneliese revealed she was believed she was possessed by 6 demons: Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Iscariot, Adolf Hitler, Nero, and Fleischmann, a disgraced priest. It was Fleischmann, that completely convinced Alt that she was possessed. Fleischmann was kicked out of the Catholic Church back in the 1500s, and there is no way Anneliese knew his history or even his name. Yeah, that's the part that gives me the goosebumps. Huh? You think it's staged?
No, I think that part is insane. Like, that's...
Yeah, I know. That was the part, like, when she said that name, he was like, I'm right. And he used it to later on in court to, like, defend himself as well. All these spirits would jostle for power of Anneliese's body and would communicate from her mouth with a low growl. The demons argued with each other, with Hitler saying people are stupid as pigs. They think it's all over after death, it goes on. And Judas saying Hitler was nothing but a big mouth and had no real say in hell. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And totally believable. Throughout these sessions, Anneliese would frequently talk about dying to atone for the wayward youth of the day and the apostate priest of the modern church, talking about the future. She broke the bones and ripped the tendons in her knees from continually kneeling in prayer. Over these 10 months, Anneliese was frequently restrained so the priest could conduct exorcism rites. She slowly stopped eating, and she eventually died of malnutrition and dehydration on July 1st, 1976. She was just 23 years old. She stated when asked to eat that she didn't have permission to. After being examined, she didn't have any signs of epilepsy, not even to the microscopic level. She never developed ulcers, which is something most people suffer from when malnutrition is at play. A lot of people believe the answer is simple. I think the answer is evil.
Damn. Yeah, no. I think Hitler. Let's dive into that for a moment.
Well, there's a lot of them. So Judas, Cain.
Well, see the thing.
Like, that's
biblical names.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah, but like
I didn't think that they would be demons.
Demons who like possess people, like they're usually like biblical angels.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
I never heard
Hitler.
Like,
I know
the soul of a living person. Like,
well, he wasn't alive then.
No, but like.
Oh, the person that was on this earth. Yeah,
because Hitler was a person.
Yeah.
And then becoming a demon that possessed her.
It makes me wonder that if you're that pure, like purely evil, like when you go to hell, the devil's like, fucking finally, all right, you're going to be doing this.
You're on the team.
You put me in, coach. You know, like I just.
you better give me some souls, or you're going back to the miners.
Yeah, we're going back to the miners. Get back in line.
Yeah, we don't know the rules. Like,
yeah, that's right.
No,
that's right.
It is odd that's like the first. You know, it's one of the only ones I think where you hear. I don't want to say pop culture.
Yeah.
Popular at the time.
He was, yeah.
At the time, yeah, popular name in the media.
That's very true. You know, that's very true because I mean that was the 40s, right? When
yes.
So like
30s, 40s.
So that's not that that was only like what 20, 30 years after. Yeah. Around there. So little warning, we have some clips of Anneliese's exorcism where she is speaking in Germany, I guess,
yeah,
and talking to the priest when she's supposedly possessed during a rite. So if you don't want to listen to this because it is pretty brutal and scary, please fast forward. All right, you ready?
Yeah. So the first clip is her normal voice.
Okay. So, cool. So it's like a comparison thing. We can kind of dissect it a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that.
So here's her normal voice.
Ja, ich will auch für die anderen leiden, damit die nicht in die Hölle kommen und so. Aber dass das dann so schlimm ist und so grausam und so furchtbar.
She sounds like a normal, like,
Das tut
young
mir leid.
woman.
One
Das
nice
ist so
little German
leicht zu haben.
Christian
Und
girl.
das ist dann
Yeah.
wirklich schlimm. Da will man überhaupt nicht mehr, da will mein Kind sterben.
Okay.
And this is what she sounded like,
Warning again.
possessed.
That just sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
That is crazy, dude. I got goosebumps all over my body. Okay, so I am the front man for our band. I scream on the weekends for a living. And hearing how her voice sounded,
She got better gutturals than you.
way better. Like, she should be the front man. I quit. Anyway, but like,
This might be a good moment to tell y'all. I don't know if y'all have heard stories of people telling this story on like Dan's time suck. When he started doing this, they started having technical issues and stuff. Like,
Damn, really?
I've never seen Dan Cummins like kind of freaked out. He's been freaked out.
why you knew that
I
I
did
was going
know.
to tell this story?
Yeah.
He was
And you
waiting for something to
didn't
happen.
bother.
I was waiting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was kind of like just on edge, like looking around, just making sure.
Ooh, that maybe that's why I feel so uncomfortable, because I
Maybe
mean,
so.
like, it's great, but like hearing that, like, and being somebody that screams, you know, for like a musical purpose, like,
It's not easy. One,
no,
and that
it's
sounds,
it's not possible.
Yeah.
Like hearing her,
It
like,
sounds layered.
no, it sounds layered. It sounds like her vocal cords after the first couple of seconds would be bleeding. Like, just the
Yeah.
amount of, like, you can hear where like
Yeah, it's
where like it's so tense right here that she would literally like she would pull, like, no pun, but
And
pull her
she was
muscle.
probably
Yeah.
like convulsing.
Yeah, and
as-
just like
as-
I can't even imagine to try and recreate
Yeah.
that in my own
Yeah.
way, and like
'Cause,
that.
and the craziest thing about like these exorcism and a lot of stories that we are gonna cover and we have covered in the past is that you can do entire TV series, movies, entire dedicated podcast to that thing.
Yeah.
So like we're not gonna give it complete justice.
Yeah,
On
totally.
how many nuances that there are. That story, when I heard it for the very first time on Time Suck, it was so unnerving.
I think I heard that. I think I actually listened
Yeah.
to that one because with
He
Time
did it
Suck,
a
there's
two-part.
I'm so far behind that I just kind
It's
of
an older one.
pick one that like piques my interest, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the first ones
Yeah.
that I listened to. And
Yeah,
I
and
know that other podcasts.
That story is just so weird, just because she was, like you said in the beginning of yours, she was a church goer. Like she went
Yeah.
so often. She was very religious, and then just out of nowhere, just was very. I remember, I think it was Dan's, where she would talk to her friends about like, hey, I think like I don't want to like be supporting God anymore. Like she was like,
Yeah, she was
very
so-
like
yeah,
twisted. You know,
yeah.
like she was like she noticed the change.
Yeah,
was the weird
because
thing.
she was that spiritually mature to be like, well, what is this
Yeah.
feeling that
She could
I've
feel
got
the
going
imbalance,
on?
kind of. Yeah.
Exactly. And one thing that I wanted to bring up again is like after she passed away, they checked like her brain, they checked her stomach and stuff, and all of the signs that is what a doctor looks at to see what it is.
Yeah.
She did not have. So she had all of these seizures, years of it, and there was not even a microscopic hint of it happening. You should have had that scar tissue. Like
Something.
you should have had something, and she didn't have it. And then the other one that got me was the malnutrition.
Yeah.
She didn't have the ulcers that literally anyone else who has malnutrition develops those ulcers. That's like one of the main things they combat whenever you are like malnourished. And she had none.
Yeah.
And that's what they said she died from. And it's like,
Yeah, they kind of. It's just kind of like pin the tail. Like, what can we? What's the closest thing we can stick with? Because we don't know.
Exactly. And also they stated that even when right before she died, she weighed 68 pounds. She still was able to.
Jesus.
She still was able to pick her sister up and throw her fucking across the room like a rag doll.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had something I wrote down during your story that I forgot
Oh,
to
okay.
mention. So you were talking about the speaking in tongues.
Yes.
So my mom told me a story about people doing that.
Okay. So you might want to explain to me what exactly that is.
Oh, I could explain it to you. I used to
yeah.
go to a church that they
So
did
it's-
that.
Oh, this is a common thing?
This is a very common thing.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I don't know this.
Yeah, so it's normally speaking in Hebrew, but sometimes it's straight up gibberish.
Well, the church I went to was straight gibberish. Nobody spoke.
Yeah,
Hebrew.
like, and
It's
they basically they feel the spirit through them, and whatever comes out.
That's when
comes
I
out.
said
No
the term
way.
"getting drunk in the Holy Spirit."
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Is
I
you
did not
literally
know that
get
that
you
was-
get
Normally it's a mixture of like Latin, Hebrew.
So, yeah, I would
like,
understand if
words
like they had
thrown
like
in there.
if it's the preacher, whoever is leading it, speaking Latin because they study this.
Yeah.
That's what they're reading
Yeah.
the scripture, and to like maybe slip into it or like to say it for more
no,
effect or
this
something.
is like straight up like homeless people will go to like these churches and start speaking in some weird fucking language that they've never heard an ounce of it, and they'll be fluently like
That's crazy.
speaking to other people about
I was
it.
a worship leader for one of these fucking churches.
So
and this was common for you.
So there was a church in Austin that my mom, one of her friends invited her to go, and there was a woman who, like, basically grabbed my mom by her head, and like held her head up against her own head, and like basically prayed over her, speaking gibberish.
Yeah.
Like she, like I was trying to ask her like, were there any like hints of like what you can think of like Latin, Spanish, something like close? And she's like, no, it was completely just like like foreign shit that
Yeah.
she would like.
See, and like even I could relate that to
I don't know.
like
It's hard to describe because she doesn't even know what it was.
like I currently have family from Germany here, so like I know a little bit.
Yeah.
I know enough to get around sentences, and my
And you took German.
That's
in-
cool.
I
in high
took
school.
German, and my dad is Bengali, so they speak that the tongue from there.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to speak it, but I can understand words and whenever they
That's
want.
kind of how I
something,
am
you know?
with Spanish. Like
Yeah.
Spanish prayer, I can get the gist of what you're saying.
So yeah, like you were saying, like whenever somebody's just spitting out words, whatever, you can usually pick up something. Like
It's
just
not
something.
I like I said, I was a worship leader for one of those churches for a few years. I went to that church from
I don't know.
the
I
age
haven't
of-
heard of this.
the age of 16 to fucking
Because
Is it looked down upon?
It's a Christian thing.
Is it looked down upon in the like? in the
no,
religion?
so I think it stems from the Presbyterian Church. They believe in it a lot. They believe in it in a biblical sense, and then now non-denominational churches are starting to do it, and it's this whole thing. Like I've been a part of these situations where everyone's getting drunk in the Holy Spirit and all these different things, and I think a lot of it. I know, at least for me, I'm a Christian, but I believe in the coreness of Christianity. I don't believe in all of the
values.
the basic religious
Yeah.
like church bullshit. Anyway, no offense, but
You believe what you want.
no, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a mindset thing. It's kind of like
What church did you grow up in?
I don't want to name it. I don't want to call it out.
What kind?
I'll fucking call out Lutherans all day.
Oh, what kind of church? What
Yeah.
kind? Oh,
Yeah.
non-denominational.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
And
it's just like a first Church of Christ or some shit like that.
like non-denominational, they don't like what they do is they just oh, we're gonna talk about this part of the Bible today. Like there's no
They don't
it's
have
not-
a calendar.
Yeah, and as far as rules go, that's kind of where I get my coreness of Christianity belief from. But at the same time, they usually always go off the wall,
Yeah.
especially with the speaking in tongues. Like pretty much every church that was like that, they all experienced, they all
See,
started.
that's
doing
insane to
that.
me. Every single day, and then you leave, and then that's it.
It's not every single day, but like,
or every time you go.
well, not necessarily. No.
Okay.
But like a lot of the times it's like
Other churches are like that.
yeah, like that's what I'm saying is like every church that I've been to that was non-denominational, they ended up getting into that. Like they never start like that. It's never like this thing where they go into we're gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Like it's more like it just eventually
progresses.
escalates
Like,
into that.
If you could imagine denominations on a scale of 1 to 10, there's a denomination for every number.
Okay.
Just in Christianity.
Yeah.
And non-denominational, they try to not claim any of
Yeah,
them,
that's
so
like
they
a-
pick and choose.
That's like a
what they
1 or a
want.
0.
Yeah.
And then full blown Catholicism is
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Like, or Baptist.
But it's
is up there
weird.
too.
It's weird. Like whenever I was a part of it, I wanted to be a part of it, and I think that a lot of it is like a mental thing.
Yeah,
I'm not dogging and saying it's not real. I believe that speaking in tongues and being consumed by the Holy Spirit can be a thing.
Yeah.
Do I think that a church in Bryan, Texas is going to fucking be lucky enough to do that? Not necessarily. But it could. And the reason why the reason why
I mean that's
the reason why I bring that one up was because of the aspect of it. It was they tainted it. And I could get in, like, essentially it became not getting drunk in the Holy Spirit, it became getting high in the Holy Spirit, and they were passing around a fake joint to each other, acting like that was and I'm like, that's
fake
just
joint. Like literally
like and then they were like handing it to each
Jesus.
other. It was the craziest thing that I've ever been.
I don't want to be rude. That seems so ridiculous. That seems so outlandishly.
I'm a Christian, and I thought it was ridiculous.
That's Christianity for you.
But anyway, aside from that, I believe that it's a real thing.
I respect Islam a lot more because they stick to like the tradition, and like
there's only there's one.
Yeah,
there's one book. They haven't made different versions.
Exactly. Like they stick to now. There's different like cultures,
different way that they interpret that one book. Yeah,
like the Shiites and and
Sikh,
all that.
But
basically it's not construed to several like sets of rules for this denomination.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah,
it's all one.
It's all one, and even in the weird shit in it, everyone follows.
Yeah, But all original. You believe what you want to believe. Yeah. There's no disrespect here. It's all just personal opinion and personal experience. But
I mean, if you're anything like us, it's just an interesting thought.
It is
just you just want to think about it. I mean, I think all of us are. But me specifically, kind of not so religious, but like the rule idea.
Yeah,
that's why I like philosophy so much. Because it's thinkers, the greatest thinkers of certain times, thinking of why they thought it this way. This is how you should live your life. This is why this is the way you should live your life.
I like that.
There was a time in high school I was thinking of becoming a theology major.
Yeah, it's just
You mean studying religion?
Yeah.
I wanted to too. I've had conversations with Satanists, agnostic, atheists, like all like a lot of.
It's worth hearing, It's
that's the cool thing about Austin is you can pretty much find anybody, and just sitting there and being like, let me pick your brain for a minute. Like, what do you think about this? And they would explain it.
Yeah. Needless to say, my mom never went back to that church.
Okay.
She got her fill.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting. I did not know that.
If you ever want to sit and talk about it, man, I would love to.
And I think we probably will eventually. Why'd you do that? Why'd the skull move on the table?
Did you shake it?
I mean, I was moving a little bit, but I don't know if it was enough to make that. It's pretty.
But all right, it was that. That's all the stories, huh? Is that a wrap?
All the stories, yeah.
That is it for episode 12 of Dead Reflections podcast. I must pass the bone of stories to Caleb. Now you have the boner. So that's it for episode 12 of Dead Reflections podcast. We'd like to shout out Terraform Podcast. Oh wait, you know what? No,
we already drew.
Oh, that's right. We already drew
episode. So the next episode will be Mothman centered.
I wrote my own Mothman story. I'm super excited for y'all to hear that.
Do you want to tell what happened today?
Spooky thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What did we get?
Yes, because it happened while I was doing stuff today. So I was looking. The topic. Let me backtrack. I texted the group chat and I said, "Hey, what story are you doing for whatever podcast, whichever episode we were doing?" You said Anneliese, and then I said, my guy, and I was like, "Oh." And I immediately went to him and I was like, I hope he writes it in a way that we can use the audio. And then I was like, he was like, there's audio or something like that. Like I was like, yeah. And he went away and I was just listening to it on my own.
You were just listening to it by yourself?
And I was just like skipping through. And then he sat down, started talking to me. And then I don't know if y'all know AirPods. I had mentioned this in a previous story. They will pause the music or whatever you're listening to. And they will say like text from Kolby.
Yeah.
Hello. Or whatever.
Fuck you.
Mine said, give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull it back up.
Wait, this was going on as
me and him are having a conversation. I was not listening to music.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. He can tell you I was freaked out in the moment.
Yeah. I wish I got it on camera.
It went like it made it the little noise. Ding. Oh no, there's a problem. And cut out.
That's it.
And you were like, what?
Oh no,
And
there's a problem.
I wrote it at the bottom of my thing because I was writing my story and I was like, what did I say again? And I was like, he said, oh no, there's a problem. Okay, I need to write it down because I'm going to forget.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. It was,
That's crazy.
That was very creepy.
I would be fucking terrified too.
And it was the second after I like paused the video and was talking to him and paused the Anneliese Michelle video.
Oh
Yeah.
man, so you were knee deep in the spoops, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man, balls deep.
And I've never heard it say, oh no, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like why?
Oh, no,
What's
there's
the
a problem.
and then nothing after that.
Yeah, like
I wonder if it was like they wanted to read it and it couldn't, and there was like an error or something.
I've
And
never
so your
had it
phone's like,
happen.
there's a problem, dude. Like I can't,
Yeah.
I'm not working properly. I don't know. I've never had to do that either because it always says like, "Boom, text from Kolby to Dead Reflections podcast chat." Fuck you, like like.
or even funnier message to Fwf Toxic Meme Chat.
Yeah, Meme.
It doesn't say meme
Yeah,
chat. It
it's
says
Meme.
meme.
And I have it in the Australian voice, so it's even my
My
Oh,
bad.
no, I did the normal one in basic. So I had
Did,
normal Siri tell me, "Oh no, there's a problem."
Oh no, there's a problem.
Did you get scared anytime
I was just
before,
thinking,
anytime
I was
between
just thinking about that, and
the last episode?
no,
Yeah.
mine's been uneventful, and I'm bummed. You keep getting
We're
tapped.
too like Caleb said last episode. We're too busy to be scared.
That's true. That's very true. Ugh.
This is a packed week. That's why we're doing back-to-back episodes.
Yeah,
today.
we're doing back-to-back episodes today, so we'll be wearing. No, I brought clothes.
We gotta switch. It'll look different, but you
well,
won't know
but
that.
you won't
You
know
won't
that.
know that unless you got
Unless you're
this far
listening to
into the podcast.
So let's wrap this
Which,
one up and
if
let's.
you
All right.
did get this far into the podcast, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks, appreciate
Oh,
it.
you know what? We didn't do a goddamn sponsor break.
Oh, that's okay.
That's all right.
We'll fit it in
Yeah,
somewhere.
we'll fit it in somewhere. It's fine. Okay, so that's it for episode 12 of Dead Reflections Podcast. Again, we would like to shout out Terraform Podcast. Their latest episode dropped Wednesday, May the 4th, titled Ghosts in a Sheet, where they bring on their first guest, which I think is fucking cool. I haven't gotten to listen to it yet, but I'm going to check it out. I'm pretty excited.
Speaking of guests, we should try to get that going.
Yeah, we'll figure that out
Yeah,
soon.
yeah,
we got a lot of stuff in the works for.
I actually talked to one of our coworkers, and he's like hella down.
Nice.
We'll
And
figure that out.
He actually told me some scary shit that just happened to him.
Tragic.
Tragic.
Also, check out our buddies in Dark Hour Podcast and their latest episode out covering urban legends that turned out to be true. They actually talked about like bugs crawling in ears and shit, and I have a story about that where
Like-
that actually
like
happened.
Elvira bug.
Yeah, like I had a full-grown
Excuse
June
me.
bug crawl into my ear canal.
did?
Yeah, on my first time camping ever as a kid,
Oh,
and I
that's
also had a
gross.
cockroach crawl up my nostril and got stuck.
I've drank a bottle of water that was open and there's a little roach in there. And I
Oh.
went, oop,
Did you know?
just crawling around.
Did you know the average person eats 5 spiders per year in their sleep?
I eat like
Oh, in
10.
their sleep? Weak.
Yeah,
Weak.
a
Fucking-
week.
What a
No. I said that was weak.
Oh.
I eat 5 a day just snacking.
that girl just snacked on him.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they
at
act
least.
like it's weird. It's not that,
That was
weird.
another thing that I wanted to bring up.
At least she was awake.
Fucking spiders and coal, my
Coal.
dude.
I mean, that makes your teeth extra white. That's why you got that cold toothpaste. You know, it makes sense. She was just ahead of the times. That's all. Follow us at Dead Reflections Podcast on all social medias, or follow the link tree to find our socials: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the video version of this podcast will be up on YouTube. Email us at deadreflectionspod@gmail.com to submit your stories. Let us know how we're doing, or tell Kolby's doing a good job. All bands related social media can be found at FWFTX. Please don't forget to leave a rating or review anywhere you listen. They really do help us and get our name out and to find new listeners. Thank you for all the continued support, and remember, tell your family, tell your friends, and tell the monsters under your bed to listen to Dead Reflections Podcast. Have a spoopy night.
Someone get on the table. I'll do it.
Bye, everybody.